Hey guys, it's Robert here, and this is my review of the Bandai movie monster series Godzilla 2016 from Shin Godzilla, which was released just in time to coincide with the new film. Now, before I get into my review of this figure, I just want to tell the story of how I got him. I recently got back from a trip to Japan to see Shin Godzilla in the theater, and I thought that when I got there was going to be Godzilla merchandise everywhere that you went. And I quickly found out that that was not the case. There was some merchandise here and there. The hotel lobby, 7-Eleven, places like that had t-shirts, hats, keychains, little things. But the one thing I wanted to bring back more than anything else was the Bandai Godzilla from the new film. I'm a huge Bandai Godzilla collector. I've been collecting Bandai Godzilla figures for about 20 years. And anybody who collects these figures knows when they first come out, you can typically find them on eBay or Amazon or Yahoo Japan, places like that. And they tend to go for around $35 to $45 with shipping, depending on who you get them from. And I figured in Japan, these would probably go for a little bit less. But it wasn't even about the price. I really just wanted to be able to say that I went to Japan and got a Bandai Godzilla figure and brought him home from the source. And so I spent about a week searching for this guy. I looked everywhere, every toy store, every souvenir shop that I could find. Nobody had this figure anywhere that I went. I even went to Akihabara, I went to Mandarake, I went to so many different toy stores, and nobody had this figure. So after about a week of searching, I was getting ready to give up, and I have to admit I was a little depressed. And I went to a huge mall in downtown Shinjuku called Takashimaya Times Square. It's 14 stories high. It's got really fancy stores, really expensive restaurants. And on the 9th floor, they have an entire floor that's just dedicated to toys. They have a Sanrio store where they sell Hello Kitty stuff. They have a Disney store. And then they have stores that sell learning toys, Legos, Kinects, puzzles, things like that. But I looked everywhere and I could not find any Godzilla toys. So finally, I went to customer service and I asked the women at the counter, "Do you guys have any Godzilla toys here in the entire store?" And they looked at me and they said, "No, we don't really have a whole lot of Godzilla stuff, but we do have a toy store on the 9th floor. You're welcome to go down there and take a look." And I thought, great, I've been to the 9th floor. I didn't find anything, but what the hell, I'll go down there again. I'll look one last time. And so I went back to the 9th floor and I scoured the entire floor. I looked everywhere again, and I couldn't find any Godzilla stuff. And finally, just as I was about to leave, I happened to look over my shoulder and there were two of these guys hanging on the rack. And after a week of searching, I have to admit, I was so happy when I finally found this guy, I almost cried. And so I took him to the cashier, and I gave him to the woman at the register. And it was funny because she looked at him and she went, "Ugh." And then she showed him to the woman at the register next to her, and they both just kind of looked at him and they went, "Ugh." You could tell that they were just really grossed out by this ugly new Godzilla. But anyway, as I was about to pay for him, whenever you buy something in Japan, they put a little sticker on it that shows that you've paid for it. And the cashier was about to put the sticker on the tag. And any Bandai Godzilla figure collector knows the most important part of this figure is the tag. Without the tag, he's worthless. And so I noticed that she was about to put this sticker on the tag, and thankfully I stopped her and I said, "Sumimasen, put it on the bag. And so she stopped and she put the sticker on the bag, thankfully, because if she had put it on the tag itself, I would have had to peel it off, and that probably would have ruined it, and then the figure would have been worthless. But anyway, I was surprised when I found him to see that he was only selling for about 2,000 yen. And at the time that I went to Japan, the dollar and the yen were about the same in terms of the exchange rate. So 2,000 yen is roughly $20. And I actually still have the receipt here. And if you take a look, you can see with tax, he was 2,160 yen, which is roughly $21 and some change. So I was very happy to have been able to go to Japan and get one of these Bandai figures from the source, and also to be able to get him for such a great price. As for the figure himself, I have to say that I'm really impressed with this figure. He's one of the better looking figures that Bandai has put out recently in their 6-inch line. He's a little bit bigger than 6 inches. He's maybe like 6.5. But that makes sense because Shin Godzilla is the biggest Godzilla that Toho has produced so far. So it makes sense that this figure would be a little bit bigger than their standard 6-inch sculpt. Looking at this figure, you can see that they've accurately produced a lot of the detail in his skin texture. The overall sculpt is very faithful to the film. These are Bandai figures that are mass-produced, so you have to remember that you're not going to get the kind of detail that you're going to find in an X Plus toy or in some of the garage kits. But overall, for a Bandai sculpt, I think that he looks very good. Again, his skin texture is faithful to the film. You can see some red highlights in his chest and in his neck, where he was emitting radiation during the film. His teeth look really good. They're individually painted. His feet are cool because they almost look kind of like T-Rex feet, which is the first time that I think we've really seen that in a Toho Godzilla. So I kind of like how he puts all of his weight on the front of his foot. The dorsal spines look really good. You can again see some of that red, those red highlights in his spines where he's emitting radiation. He's got the traditional maple leaf spines. So overall, I think this is a really great sculpt. My one complaint about this figure is probably the eyes. If you look really close at his eyes, you can see that they just sort of painted them white. So they look kind of empty. They're just really flat. And if you look really close, you can see that they actually sculpted pupils in his eyeballs. So I almost just wish that Bandai had, maybe just put a little dot of black there, just painted a little tiny pupil in the center there. And then to me, he would have looked a lot more like the Godzilla in the film. And I really liked the tiny pupils that he had in the movie. I know a lot of people complained about that, but I thought it looked really cool. So if they had just put maybe, a little dot of black in the eyes, I think that would have matched the likeness of the creature in the movie a lot better. His tail is really cool because it starts off like a traditional Godzilla tail. You can see the maple leaf spine sort of, getting smaller and smaller. And then his tail becomes kind of an amalgam. In the middle, it looks almost like it got fish bones, like it's made of fish bones, something amphibian. And then towards the tip here, you can see that they've faithfully reproduced the bony texture that he has, the sort of, looks like fish bones, like ribs and vertebrae that he's got sticking out of his tail. I won't spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen the film. I did a whole review of Shin Godzilla. You can click on the link in the description to see that review. So I won't give away anything about his tail. But they did do a really good job of recreating that bony texture. And you can see some of the red highlights in the tail as well. So I think that's really cool. His legs are posable. His arms are posable. And then that's really it. He doesn't have a whole lot of articulation. But that's fine. I mean, his neck doesn't move, his tail doesn't move. But I tend to find that these Bandai figures look best in their default pose anyway. So overall, I'm very pleased with this figure. I'm very happy with the way that he looks. I think he's one of the more detailed sculpts that Bandai has done in their 6-inch line. So I'm very happy about that. His tag has the poster art from the teaser poster, and it says Godzilla 2016 on the front. On the back, we see Shin Godzilla in Japanese, and then just sort of a black silhouette of his dorsal spines. The inside has the standard Bandai contact information, choking hazard warning, and things like that. But overall, I think he looks really great. I'm very happy with this figure. He's going to make a really great addition to my collection. So yeah, that's about it. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave your comments below. That does it for this review. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.